how to transpose your composition on a viewfinder onto your drawing paper. Okay, you have done your drawing, okay, tracing the props onto your viewfinder. So now we want to transfer that onto your piece of paper. Okay, for this video I've used a smaller paper because I want to fit everything into the video frame so that you can see, but you should be using your A3 size drawing block paper. Okay, so for a start, marking, okay, you can use a ruler, okay, to divide the length into threes, okay, and mark them as I have done, as well as the breadth. Okay, so once you have done that, join up, okay, to get your grid on your paper. Okay, do this lightly. Okay, for me, I'm using a darker pencil because I need it to show up on the video so that you can see. Okay, if you want to use your ruler to draw this guideline, by all means do so, but it's also good practice, okay, for you to try to draw straight lines using freehand. Okay, yeah, so I have now the rule of thirds in here. So what I'm going to do is to refer to the composition here, okay, and trace it in. Okay, so it's quite easy because this top left I have this, so I can gauge proportionately that this point is going to be here, this point is about, of course they're making judgments at the same time, so this is about half, 1/4, slightly less than 1/4. Okay, you don't need to know your maths that well, okay, to actually mark these points. Visually you can also gauge the proportion. Okay, so that's this point. So for this point it's about somewhere here. Okay, for this point, half slightly inner than half, so half slightly inner than half. So notice that as you make these points, okay, later on you're going to join them up. So now it's just doing all the markings so that you are not lost and your drawing would be quite proportionate. Okay, so this point I'm doing is actually this point. Okay, and from here, so what I can do is down here, about here, this point. Okay, so after I have this, of course you have to try to interpolate as well, okay, through all the wobbliness, okay, that is on the frame. Okay, so but for a start you can actually draw in quite confidently, okay, that the shape will be somewhat like this. Okay, you don't have to do curve, you can do straight lines first and then later on you can fill in the curves, okay, because remember we are doing construction. Okay, so up to about here, and then this leg starting from about here, and the same time as when you are doing this, you should also be looking at the props in front of you, okay, because this is only a guide. Okay, so what you're doing here is transposing, but do not take everything lock, stock and barrel, because okay, you this is only a guide and you know that your hands are shaking when you're doing this. Okay, so if in doubt, always look at the, you know, the real props that is in front of you, okay, and then make a judgment call, so which is more correct, okay, the image of the real objects in front of you or what you have drawn in your viewfinder. Of course it's the image in front of you. Okay, so I have this mark out about half, 1/3. Okay, so about 1/3 here is quite correct. Okay, and then the last leg slightly inner than half, so about here, and it's still a slant, so it has to be something like this. Okay, exactly where the leg stop I will actually check on the real objects, okay, by referring to the real objects, but for now I'm just going to do copy work. Okay, I'm going to put this up a little bit higher so I can draw here. Okay, this marking is here. Okay, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 1/4, a little bit. Okay, and then ending about here. So this leg is about here, and this leg is going to extend half of this, 1/4, is the inner side of the leg. Okay, so it's very hard to get your composition very long, very wrong, because you have this visual guide that you have done. Okay, so about here, okay, it is kind of a straight. I will refer to the actual props. Okay, so now I have done the transferring and rough lines, okay, of the table legs. Okay, I will check these later as well. Okay, so this is my very rough guide, a curve. Okay, so at this stage, right, you have transferred what you have on your viewfinder onto your paper. Okay, and you can see that you actually need to do it in quite lightly. Don't be too hard, because this is still a guide for you. Okay, but you find that with the use of the viewfinder, you have actually managed to center, okay, the props onto your paper quite centrally. Okay, so if you use the viewfinder, gone are the days where you actually draw out of the paper, draw too small or draw too big. Okay, so this is the advantage of using a viewfinder. So from here, I will need to look at my props. Okay, and then by looking at the props, I will ascertain again, okay, down here there is a curve. Okay, and then over here there is another curve. So at this stage, when you are referring to the real object, you will do the curves as you see live. Okay, and this will be, you'll be able to draw this in quite confidently, because you have already constructed, you know the proportions are right, and you will have more confidence to put in the lines. Okay, yeah, and your drawing lines will actually reflect that confidence. Okay, over here there's a slight indent, okay, which I did not indicate in my viewfinder tracing. Okay, but it's alright, because some details is best filled in later as you draw. Okay, so this is the thickness of the chair. Okay, the chair has a thickness. I'm using a 2B pencil, by the way. Okay, so all the guidelines can be done in HB, but if you use 2B lightly, that is also fine. Okay, so now I'm going to carry on, okay, with this leg, and this is the foremost leg. It's actually longer. Okay, if in doubt, okay, check through your viewfinder again. Okay, so it extends beyond here. Okay, and I see it on the actual props as well. Okay, so as you are doing this, you can also engage your Mondrian tool, so to check the levels. Okay, check on the actual object, right? Which leg is the longest, which leg is the shortest, and do the left and right leg actually tally on the same horizontal line. Okay, it is not. Okay, this one is slightly higher, slightly different. Oh, I have made a mistake. This is the leg that is longest to me, and this is the one that is shorter above this line. Oh. Like that. Okay. And then I will look at the actual curves of the legs of the chair to refine. Okay, so for this chair, it's slightly fatter in the middle, and then it slims down again. Okay, here, construct an ellipse here, so this should be ellipse as well. Okay, and then for the stool, okay, for the stool, this is the middle line, and I do see that there is a thickness. Okay, so it extends from here to here. You can actually draw a box so that my ellipse is more regulated, and the center line. Okay, and then the thickness of the stool. Okay, and after that, the legs. Okay, as I'm drawing, I am referring to the actual props. Okay, because after I have transposed the lines from the viewfinder to the paper, I will put this aside already. I'm actually drawing from the props, okay, that's in front of me. Okay, and this side. Okay. And the center. Okay, so you will look at the actual object and then amend, okay, as you think there are, because sometimes your tracing actually is not so accurate because of you're holding it in mid-air to trace. Okay. So here, okay, I have completed, okay, the basic outline of the chair and the stool. Okay, so this is how you use your viewfinder.